As a prisoner of Auschwitz, this woman helped thousands of captive women survive. By performing secret abortions, Gisella Pearl saved women and their unborn children from the sadistic experiments of Dr. Mengele, who left no one alive. In 1944, the Nazis invaded Hungary. It was there that the Dr. Gisella Pearl lived at that time. She was moved first to the ghetto, and then with her whole family, son, husband, parents, like thousands of other Jews, she was sent to a concentration camp. There, many prisoners were distributed immediately upon arrival and taken to the crematorium, but some, having undergone a humiliating disinfection procedure, were left in the camp and distributed into blocks. Gisella Pearl got into this group. Then she remembered that in one of the blocks there were cages where hundreds of young, healthy women were sitting. They were used as blood donors for German soldiers. Some girls, pale, exhausted, were lying on the floor. They could not even talk, but they were not left alone. The remaining blood was periodically taken from the veins. Gisella Pearl kept an ampoule with poison and even tried to use it somehow. But it didn't work out. Either the body was stronger than the poison, or God was going to let her live. Gisella Pearl helped women in any way she could. Sometimes even with her optimism, she told amazing and bright stories that gave desperate women hope. Gisella Pearl was assigned as an assistant in the camp clinic to Dr. Joseph Mengele. According to his instructions, the camp doctors had to report all pregnant women whom he took away for his terrible experiments on women and their children. Gisella, in order to prevent this, tried to save women from pregnancy, secretly giving them abortions and causing artificial childbirth so that they would not get to Dr. Mengele. The day after the operation, women already had to go to work in order not to arouse suspicion. So that they could lie down, Gisella Pearl diagnosed them with severe pneumonia. She managed to carry out about 3,000 operations in Auschwitz, hoping that the women she operated on would still be able to give birth to children in the future. At the end of the war, some of the prisoners, including Gisella Pearl, were transferred to the Bergen-Belsen camp. They were released in 1945, but few of the prisoners lived to see this bright day. After being released, Gisella tried to find her relatives, but found out that they had all died. In 1947, she left for the USA. She was afraid to become a doctor again. The memories of those months of hell in Dr. Mengele's laboratory haunted her, but soon, nevertheless, she decided to return to her profession, especially since she had gained tremendous experience. But problems arose. She was suspected of having ties to the Nazis. Indeed, in the laboratory she sometimes had to be an assistant to the sadistic Mengele in his sophisticated and inhuman experiments, but at night, in the barracks, she did everything in her power to help women, alleviate suffering, save them. Finally, all suspicions were removed, and she was able to start working at a New York hospital as a gynecologist. And every time she went into the delivery room, she prayed, "God, you owe me a life, a living child." Over the next few years, the doctor helped more than 3,000 babies to be born. In 1979, Gisella Pearl moved to live and work in Israel. She remembered how in the stuffy carriage that took her and her family to the camp, she, her husband and father vowed to meet each other in Jerusalem. In 1988, Dr. Gisella died and was buried in Jerusalem. More than 100 people came to see Gisella Pearl off on her last journey, and in a message about her death, the Jerusalem Post newspaper called Dr. Gisella Pearl the Angel of Auschwitz.